A diplomatic row has erupted between the US and China after a balloon was spotted at high altitude in the skies over America, which it says is being used for surveillance. It's led to the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, cancelling a planned trip to China tomorrow. The Chinese have apologised and declared the balloon is used for scientific research and that it could have blown off course. But that hasn't stopped the row from escalating. Here's our security correspondent, Gordon Carrera.
I have no idea what this thing is.
A strange object in the sky, filmed by a member of the public in rural Montana.
And for those of you who think this might just be the moon, it is not the moon. The moon is off to my right. I can see it.
It's not the moon, nor a UFO, but US officials claim a Chinese spy balloon.
It seems so brazen and just so insane to me. It was just like, this thing is so visible.
And it's now sparked a major diplomatic row. The Chinese Foreign Ministry today first called for calm, but later apologised, saying a scientific balloon mainly used for weather research had gone off course. But within hours, the US military responded by saying they did not believe Beijing.
A few things at the top. The fact is, we know that it's a surveillance balloon, and I'm not going to be able to be more specific than that. We do know that the balloon has violated US airspace and international law, which is unacceptable.
So where did the balloon come from? A US meteorologist has tracked the route it may have taken using a model normally used to look at the spread of pollutants. The BBC's data analysts and weather teams say this model takes account of things like wind patterns and shows a trajectory from China across the Pacific, crossing Alaska, then Canada, before entering the US. It was then spotted, supposedly first by civilians on a plane over rural Montana. Here, US officials claim the balloon lingered. Why? Well, one possible reason we can see from this satellite imagery is Malmstrom Air Force Base nearby, an important base that houses intercontinental missiles. The US Air Force scrambled 2 fighter jets from Nevada's Nellis Air Force Base, but the decision was taken not to shoot the balloon down because of the risk of debris causing harm below. So what do we know about the balloon itself? Here's what scientific experts we've spoken to think. That it's likely filled with helium, with solar panels to provide power, and it is manoeuvrable. There are instruments and sensors to collect data that could be used for science or surveillance. Military specialists I've spoken to, though, say it's not likely to offer anything more than existing spy satellites can do. This balloon may not represent any significant security threat, but the incident highlights that the growing tension between the two countries now even extends to the skies above rural America. Gordon Carrera, BBC News.
Well, our North America editor Sarah Smith is at the White House for us. Sarah, the Secretary of State has spoken about this incident this evening. What did he say?
Well, he's clearly very angry. He said this was irresponsible and unacceptable, particularly coming just before his planned trip to China. And he said it undermined the very basis of that trip, which was intended to improve relations and increase trust. Secretary Blinken was actually due to meet the Chinese President Xi himself, and among other things, they would have discussed Taiwan, which is a major point of tension. America fears that China might move to try and militarily seize the self-governing province, and China will have wanted to talk about America's expanding military presence in the Philippines, which is supposed to deter China from making a move on Taiwan. But fundamentally, the whole point of US-Chinese engagement at the moment is not to try and reach any sort of agreement, but to maintain open lines of communication at the very highest levels, because tensions are running so high. Both nations fear that a misunderstanding could actually lead to an unintended conflict. And today shows you just how very delicate the situation is.